As the season passes by in a blink, along the many streets that are dimly lit by yellow lights and the waning gibbous, you firmly press on the brake pad as it slowly arrives at your parking spot. You step off your sleek black car that shines ever so nicely amongst the dim light, grabbing as well a plain-looking box. A simple melody clings to your mind and follows suit of it with a hum. Today has been a good day after all, yet utterly exhaustive one. You deserved it from all the other nonsense that's been happening in your line of work. Your own body goes into autopilot as you step about the apartment complex, wondering as to how your sweet Belle is doing, ever so lonesome in your abode. She's a wee shy with others, never really that knowledgeable in the art of small talk. You at least try to make her interact with your fellow coworkers as maid boss, of course, but she seems rather uninterested in their gossip. You truly do wonder if she'll ever really come out of her shell. But perhaps another time, when she's not too busy surfing the internet and making delicious baked goods. A few minutes of walking merrily goes by, as you then see the familiar engravings that mark your den. You quickly make yourself look a lot more presentable and knock on the door 4 times to signal your arrival. The door then begins to be thrown open as you are gently greeted by a few things. Where to even begin? Perhaps the simple yet lovely and happy sound of your dear Nandroid welcoming you back, as if you were her world. Or perhaps it's the way she claps her hands delicately near her meager chest and tilts that charming strawberry blonde hair of hers with a genuine smile. Perhaps even the fact that something is in the air. Something with onions and chicken. You then realize how famished you were whilst returning home. Nevertheless, you close your door and place the precarious package on the coffee table. As you do so, the faint sounds of a piano elegantly strikes your tired mind. Dinner will be ready in just a few minutes, sir. Why don't I take your walkabout coat off while you wash up a bit, Her voice module echoes through a tiny speaker in her mouth. She takes your brown coat and neatly places it onto the coat rack. As she walks back into the kitchen, however, you stop her with a gentle tug on her black maid uniform. Before I go and wash up, dear, might I ask you something? But of course, sir. You need not to ask for anything. I am, after all, here to serve you. Her voice echoes in a coo as she emphasizes the last few words. Then I am in need of your services tomorrow. I'll be taking you on a little date. The quiet Nandroid blushes to a full pink on her cheeks as she could only yet cutely blurt out a little before you quickly wrap around her slender frame tightly. You giggle a bit in her ears and sway her side to side playfully, her luscious shoulder-length hair falling with the motion, and mutter in her ear something in the lines of, God, what am I ever going to do without you, darling Belle? A few drawn-out seconds goes by as you slowly let go of your companion and give her a peck on the forehead. She rolls those radiant yellow eyes of hers, while still flustered at the ever-sudden gift of affection. You simply give her a satisfied smile. Hey, no lovey-dovey stuff until you're ready to go to bed, mister. My sensors detect your smell akin to horse manure. Into the showers, please. You know when she calls you by that term, you know to obey her sweet and worrisome demands. Fine, you always know what's best for me, Belle. You utter softly as you crack her neck and stretch a bit, before walking inside the slightly spacious bathroom. You strip down to your nude form and lay your sweaty clothes into the hamper. You then turn on the shower, misting the room with hot, relaxing water, as well as echoing a few sighs of relief as it touches your skin. Today has been an exhaustive day. Ding! The sound goes off as you walk back into the kitchen and feast your senses onto the realm of your darling's hard work. You see within the limited space a few bowls inside the sink, along with some ingredients that include milk, butter, flour, and the like on the counters, somewhat haphazardly. And in front of you now is your Nandroid bent over with oven mitts. Instinctively, you propel your eyes to somewhere else as she places the mighty warm pan on a cutting board. Large buns steam and grip the air ever tighter, as again the aroma of deliciousness wafts into your nostrils. You then see your Nandroid smiling in satisfaction at her creation. Perhaps that's the best part of her baking, you think. The look of hers whenever she's successful in her craftsmanship, that slight tint in her cheeks, and the brightness in her eyes arising, and that heartwarming giggle she makes whenever she snaps a photo of it to commemorate such a successful occasion, or perhaps to even envy the other Nandroids in her friends list. It's a lot more satisfying than tasting the actual creations, you must admit. You take a seat on the wooden table as an android elegantly dances around the kitchen, grabbing a plate, utensils, and the likes. As she does so, she hums along the continuous barrages of piano music ever softly playing from the radio, and finally places each item in front of you, then ever so gently grabbed 2 buns and presented them onto your plate. Bon appetit, sir. It took a bit of time to really think about what to make for dinner. But then a friend of mine from the east suggested I should make something called pas chaude. She continues to chat away whilst you try to cool down those oven-baked fresh buns. She goes on about the creation and also the substitution of some ingredients, due to the fact that there's not being a lot of ingredients within the fridge. You merely nod along sleepily and ready to plunge the first spoonful into your mouth, but then suddenly the heat of the delicious food snaps at you in quick succession, at the roof. Flabbergasted, despite knowing the rest all too well, you ventilate the spoonful of food in tears of regret. Belle then stops her tirade with a simple, "Well, how was it?" Once you were finally able to swallow it, unfortunately you couldn't really get a feel for it, as it kept scraping your tongue with utmost heat. What your poor tongue could take was something akin to chicken, butter, and onions, blending with each other in a soothing and delectable taste. You nod vigorously and began to spout compliments to the master baker. You say to her as to how everything here, from the texture, the softness, and especially the taste, was exquisite. The look on her face is that usual belle blush and eye roll that you've grown accustomed to, yet still generally smile at the presence of such. "You're just trying to flatter me there, sir. I'm sure it's not that good." Then you notice how she instinctively covers her mouth with one hand, though you clearly see her smiling. Well, I should start to clean up now, as she starts grabbing the ingredients and putting them back into their original placements. However, you do notice something on her back. A single red dot has been blaring all this time. Inquisitively, you ask Belle to stop for a second to take a look at it. She obliges, though she says she still needs to clean up afterwards, but you remind her you'll just do it yourself if it would comes to it. You can feel her sweat a bit at the thought of such, but you simply pat her on the head as she sits down onto the couch in the living room. You take a knee as you gently tug and pull on the top side of her neat-made uniform. It's a bit hard to really look with all the white lace lining in the way, but you were finally able to see what was all the hubbub about. You see the slim tankard on her back was nearing down, and glows a bright ominous red. You also see she was wearing another t-shirt, possibly to even hide the fact. You snake your head into her direction and give her a sympathetic look. "Belle, had you been trying to hide the fact that you need a third charge today?" She quickly spun towards the other direction and gives a sigh. "I understand how embarrassing it must feel, Belle, but you gotta let me know, okay? Can't let you deplete your battery, especially if you're going to continue cooking for me." She gets halfway up and is about to leave the conversation, but you continue on. Hey. It's alright, Belle. It's gonna be alright, okay?" She trembles a bit, but slowly sits down once more. You take one of her hands and cover it with your own and squeeze it a little bit. "Now, you go in our room and charge up, okay? I'll clean up everything here. Think of it as a trade after having such a delicious meal, eh?" She continues to protest, but all you could do is simply guide her carefully into the room and onto the king-size bed and let her sit down. You place the charger on her smooth lap and give once more a peck on her forehead and a long and warm embrace to simply sweeten the moment. "We'll talk about battery problem in the future, okay? Just charge up for tomorrow and we'll be on our way to our date." You then slowly go near her ears and whisper the words that you always seem to crawl up in your mind every time you think about her. "I love you, Belle." You leave her in the dark room and silently close the door. All we could hear inside was a painful and trembling sigh of defeat. Taking off your rubber gloves after the incessant scrubbing of dishes, you finally were able to take a deep, exhausted sigh and slump on the couch just for a little bit. Well, it wasn't that bad of a cleanup. Your body is hating you at the moment for expending much more energy. But when it concerns to that luminescent smile, you'd bleed to see it once more, again and again and again. Heavier eyelids grow every second as the comfort of the couch paralyzes you to stay and sleep in its cushions just for a little while, maybe even a lot longer. But you know in your heart of hearts to stick around the land of the living just a little bit more until you close down the lights. And that you do, finally ending your task with the radio being abruptly suspended by a push of a button. As you wheel yourself into both you in your lover's bedroom. With utmost caution and the quietest steps you could ever produce, you tiptoe your way into the bed. You see the android being illuminated by the most silver and pristine light of the moon. The slender naked body of silken and metallic items, stiff and lifeless as a board facing upwards, yet her faceplates rest happily. At the very least you thought that she's having a nice dream, if they ever could really. You clamber over the soft mattress and cloak yourself with the red blanket. The last thing you ever really remembered prior to being knocked out proper was you holding her arm and praying she boots up happier than what had become tonight.